Welcome to Doughboys Double. I'm Nick Weiger along with a spoon man, Mike Mitchell. Mitch, happy Maynk.
Happy Maynk, Wags. We're in Maynk. I was on my phone.
Yeah, obviously.
But we're in Maynk.
I asked if you were ready, and you said yeah as you were texting.
I just gotta post one thing. It's fine.
Happy Maynk. We love the Finch Man.
We love the Finch
We
Man.
love the Finch Man.
We love the Finch Man.
We love the Finch Man.
And it's Maynk.
It's Maynk.
And we're gonna be talking about the Finch Man.
A whole month of David Fincher. We're going to be talking movies. We might talk some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're talking his first film.
That's kind of
which we'll get into in a second.
Ambiguous.
But I don't know. I mean, like, you know,
we might talk some other stuff.
He's directed some television. He's directed some big pilots. Mm-hmm. He has directed. He was an executive producer of Love, Death, and Robots, a really fascinating anthology animated series. He directed some episodes of that. So there's lots of territory we can cover. But one thing we want is your feedback. Because the Do-Scored decision for this month is going to be you picking which Fincher film we cover.
That's right. We're giving it up to you, the listeners. You can tell us what you want us to watch on the show.
So if you have a favorite Fincher film you want to make sure that we sink our teeth into on the Doughboys Double, make sure your voices are heard in the Do-Scored decision.
And when you do that, you might see your movie up here during Maynk.
All you have to do is to log on to the Do-Scored and go ahead and vote in the poll and pick your favorite Fincher film. And you know what? You just may see your favorite up here during Maynk.
Nothing else will change. I give up on this podcast.
Nothing else will change.
Nothing else will change. The podcast is operating just as it normally does.
It's a normal podcast, except for the Do-Scored decision for this month is going to be Maynk focused, which means we want to know which is your favorite Fincher movie that you'd like to hear us cover.
And you can still catch new episodes of the Doughboys podcast every Thursday on Headgum Network. And there's also Tuesday episodes on the Patreon.
But you already know that because you're already on the Patreon, which means that you can go into the Do-Scored, our Discord server, and vote in the poll to decide which Maynk film will be the winner of the Do-Scored decision.
Our numbers are going up. Just fucking, that's all it took.
Here's what I can say is that we're obviously already covering Alien³ so that one is not going to be eligible for the vote. We are definitely covering one film. I'm just confident to say this because this is my favorite Fincher film, and I want to hear yours, Mitch. But, you know, my favorite Fincher film is Zodiac. I believe that's Casey's as well, an all-timer for Casey. Casey, you're a big film buff. Love Zodiac.
Kind of a manual for you in a way,
right? We're definitely going to cover Zodiac. So those are two that aren't going to be in there. And also we're not going to be talking about Seven this month for reasons that will become clear later on. So we're going to, I'll just be ambiguous.
Okay, yeah. Oh, we're doing Kevin Spacey month next month.
Kevin Spacey month is coming.
Yeah. Usual Suspects, Seven. We have a whole lineup.
Kev June Spacey. So look for that. We're going to do his movie where he turns into a cat.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know, I was thinking about Seven.
What's that?
He could have fucking knocked off all seven if he just went after the whale. Gluttony, sloth, lust. He's fucking jacking off to gay porno all the time.
Meatball. Is Meatball one of the seven deadly sins?
He can force feed him meatballs?
Yeah. I think Meatball is one of them.
Meatball is one of them, yeah.
He also, here's a thought.
Yeah.
When he was that cat, should have got him neutered.
Another thing I want to mention, this is not Maynk related. Although remember, if you have a favorite Fincher film you'd like us to cover, you can vote in the Do-Scored decision. Just log on to our Discord server, the Do-Scored, and make sure your voice is heard. This is not Maynk related, Mitch, but our logo for people watching our video feed has been fixed. The original Doughboys Double logo, one of our eagle-eyed listeners,
that works,
observed that the layers were out of sequence, and so the drippy cheese was on top of the top bun. So that the PSD had to be redone so that the drippy cheese, or is it drippy cheese or is that mustard? I always thought it was mustard.
How did you figure this out? I didn't even hear a single thing about this.
This was a thing that a listener noticed and then Emma noticed, and Emma got it fixed. Correct, Emma?
Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, we fixed it. I actually always thought that was cheese, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's mustard. I never thought about it.
I guess it is cheese. It's also dripping from the top. So is there a third layer of cheese? Like, what's going on exactly?
I was hoping it was just like the cheesiest double cheeseburger ever, but you're right. It's probably mustard. Maybe it's both.
Might be both. It's probably a combo.
This is now weird. Now this is weird to me because it's cheese shouldn't drip that way, one.
Cheese shouldn't drip up?
It shouldn't drip like that, like drippy cheese, should it?
Well, this is a stylized, like it's like, it's a simplification. It's
and
an
like
abstraction.
I don't want like a mustard burger where mustard's coming out the side. I have to go with it that it's cheese.
I think it is cheese, but I think there's a little bit of mustard in there too. And those are like a couple of big, I mean, this is honestly a weird fucking burger because it's just a seeded bun, 2 patties, cheese, I guess some drippy mustard, and then 2 tomatoes that are different sizes.
Dylan, what the fuck?
This fucking weird ass burger. Oh, that's my favorite kind of burger.
That's a mustard cheeseburger.
Yeah, I make a cheeseburger. I put on 2 tomato slices, 2 patties, and a bunch of mustard.
And a bunch of mustard, and then the cheese and mustard drips out the side.
Like a half cup of mustard.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Sounds like a normal burger to me.
I'm a normal man. I drive a normal automobile. You know what? We're going to give it up to you, the listeners, to decide what that is. Is it cheese or is it mustard? You can decide on the Dough Scored right now.
Log on and make sure your voice is heard. And while you're there, take a second and vote in the poll for your favorite Fincher film, and we'll cover it this month. But right now we're covering his first film, Alien 3.
Favorite Fincher
I don't think this is anyone's favorite Fincher film. But this is perhaps his most critically derided film, but I think a fascinating film.
You know what I was going to say?
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, that because you said we're not going to cover 7, and I think that like that is one of the one of the darker Fincher films, one
of the darker like box office
general.
Smashes ever made. It's like that movie was such a hit, and it's so nihilistic.
Wait, it is Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, yeah.
And
have you seen 7?
I've seen 7.
Okay, because lying is a sin. Casey's gonna get you.
Yeah, all right.
And you know what? He's not neutered.
So he'd get me on lying instead of gluttony. He'd be like, I think I see that guy. I think I'm gonna go with lying. All right, whatever you say. And also lying is one of the 7 deadly sins?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. They say that some people say that Alien 3 is maybe his most nihilistic film.
Fascinating.
Which
I don't know if I got. I don't know if I got.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Like, look, I like the what's the one that you just said you loved? The
Zodiac.
Zodiac is dark, but I don't think it's nihilistic.
Mm-mm.
And 7's pretty nihilistic.
Pretty bleak.
But so is Alien 3.
Yeah, it is.
Alien 3 is pretty dark.
Yeah, it's pretty
darker than you think. And why? Because I just want to let everyone know. The Finch man, I should take my notes out, but he basically he turned his back on this movie. He disowned it.
Yeah, I have a quote which we'll get to in a second, but yes.
And so it's funny that we're even doing this, but we thought like it would be fun to watch this, so why the fuck not?
Also, you are a huge fan of the Alien franchise. Mm-hmm. One of like your top franchises, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise, and also I got to I can't say anything about it.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Well. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. They don't have much fun in California. Oh, really? Well, guess what? I saw some stuff.
There's no fun to be had in California. They don't have any fun out there. Well, you know what? We're fucking seeing stuff all the time.
We're seeing fucking maybe you can see a xenomorph.
No one ever sees anything in California. Give me a break. I don't waste my time going to the Golden State. Well, you know what? We're getting private tours. We're seeing stuff.
We're getting some private tours. You know what? Wags looks out of his window. Maybe he sees a wave.
I might catch a wave.
He might catch a wave.
Might go to Crypto.com Arena, catch a sporting event.
So all you Midwesterners talking shit about California being
Hey, I'm
boring.
from the Midwest. No, nothing ever happens in California.
Maybe we're having some fun out
here.
We're
having some fun out here.
I think pound for pound, if you remove Alien versus Predator movies, which can be their own sort of fun. I'm looking at Casey for judgment here.
Sure, yeah.
The Alien versus Predator movies are not great. They're not good.
Are you asking me?
I'm kind of telling you, but you agree with that. They're not good.
I think just the straight up Alien movies are better than Alien vs. Predator.
But that's my thought on the Alien franchise. If you remove that, which I don't think they really count anyways, the Alien versus Predator movies.
Yeah.
Pound for pound, movie for movie, and if you do include Prometheus and Alien Covenant, I think it's like one of the strongest franchises there is. I like as far as like multiple movies that are good.
Certainly science fiction wise.
Alien 1, a stone cold classic. One of the best movies ever.
Yeah.
We all love it. Aliens, one of the best sci-fi action horror movies ever made.
And just sequels, just like flat out sequels.
It's fucking it fucking rules.
Yeah.
If you watch Aliens now, Aliens, the sequel, you're like, there's no action movie you watch that like looks as cool.
Right.
Just thinking about like the Queen and all the practical effects. That movie is fucking awesome. And it's one of my favorites of all time. And I love Alien. And then we'll skip over Alien 3 for a second. Alien Resurrection, I think, is cool and fucking weird and different.
It's interesting, yeah.
It's interesting. And the Amelie director directed it, right? He's the guy who directed it. And it's fucking cool and weird. And also like a cultural touchstone. You don't realize that, but you see like kill me, all that shit that is from Alien Resurrection. There's a ton of shit when Sigourney Weaver is like the clone of her saying kill me and stuff like that. There's a ton of shit like that in Alien Resurrection, and I think it's great. I love it. And then you get to the Prometheuses. I love Prometheus.
You're
I love Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
And Wags, at one point in time, I said Alien 3 was my favorite when I was a boy, but it was just one of those things of like I had access to that the most.
Yeah.
I saw Aliens at Krista Camber's birthday party in elementary school.
Very cool.
And that was the first time I ever watched it.
A little young for that.
I was young.
Yeah.
It was a young time to see it, but I loved it. And I maybe saw Alien after I saw Aliens. I don't know exactly when I saw it, but I think it's a great franchise.
Yeah.
And I think Alien 3 is maybe underrated. I think it's an underrated movie.
Watching it this time, I was like, "This is," and we should mention.
We gotta make this clear.
We both watched the assembly cut, which I think is also called the complete edition, which was released in 2003, which has like an extra 30 minutes of footage. I'd never seen that version before.
In honor of Da Finchman, we watched the assembly cut, which he still disowned the movie, and I don't even know what he thinks of the assembly cut.
I have a quote on that, which we'll get to in 1 second.
But I think that this is more his vision. Though weirdly, at the end of the movie, there is one change I don't like in it. But
Interesting.
We'll get to that one after we talk about it.
Well, I want to get to one thing that's more general before we get to breaking down this film, which is that, and this is a surprise to you, Mitch, I felt like A Month This Momentous needed its own theme song. So I commissioned the Maynk theme song.
Oh my God.
Emma, do we want to go ahead and play this now?
I'm only happy when it's Maynk. I'm only happy when I watch the Finchman, the game of Zodiac or Benji Bussy.
This is good.
I'm only happy when it's Maynk, the Social Network, Gun Girl, Panic Crew, Seven Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Fight Club, Alien 3, and Maynk. Hoya Finchery down.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Hoya Finchery down on me. Hoya Finchery down. Hoya Finchery down on me.
Or your Finchery?
Yeah.
I'm only happy when it's Maynk.
Shout out to Ariana Lenarski for putting that together for us.
She sang it?
Yeah, she got some great pipes.
She sounds great. I was about to ask, that was my main question, is I was like, what woman do we talk to that you could ask to do this? I, for a minute, thought it was AI.
No, I asked Ariana, and she said, I think this is the stupidest thing I've ever sung.
That's worse than Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yeah, is it worse than Twinkle Twinkle Little
Come
Star?
on.
It's pretty dumb when you think
Ariana,
about it.
come on. Also,
What did you think of the Maynk theme song? Log on to the Discord and let us know.
That's a good theme song. That's a good. You know what? Mank is starting off right.
Mank is starting off right.
I'm also not look. I'm looking at my phone for notes now,
Yeah.
just so everyone knows.
Alien 3. Let's get into it. This is directed by David Fincher, obviously, the Finch man.
The Finch man.
The screenplay is by David Giler, Walter Hill, and Larry Ferguson. You read through the Wikipedia for this, and it went through so many iterations in development. It was partially affected, and this is hyper topical as of this episode's release, by the 1988 WGA strike, which shut down a script that was in development, and it seemed like it went through like a half dozen different screenwriters. Sometimes that like a movie like Top Gun Maverick, it goes through so many different writers, and like it somehow ends up working at the end. This one does feel kind of like a mess. It's a fascinating mess. I think it mostly works, but it does feel like it's kind of gotten,
it's a little messy. It's
been through
messy
different
in
iterations.
weird ways, but
Yeah.
But I think again, I do think that it mostly works. For
I think
me.
so too. I think I love watching it. This is the thing I'll say about the Alien franchise. I'm not as big of a fan of it as you are, but I do really appreciate it. It has universally has amazing production design. Just like really cool sets, really cool world building, and then the creature design obviously is just it's such a fucking awesome looking creature.
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah. I think it said Giger, actually.
Oh,
H.R. Giger.
H.R. Geiger sounds more like Weiger.
Geiger's like Weiger.
Geiger's like Weiger. It's cooler.
But it's Giger like...
H.R. Giger.
Yeah, it's Giger.
Are you Uyghur?
No, I'm not Uyghur. I'm fucking Weiger. Do you fucking dare call me Uyghur?
Nick Uyghur?
No, it's Weiger.
Oh, okay.
Do you think it's Uyghur or Weiger? Log on to the Discord, our Discord server, and share your voices.
The winner he'll legally go by from here on out.
Theatrically released in 1992, it's kind of fucking like just to think of this movie coming out in 1992 and people will be like, "Oh, there's new Alien," and you see this. It's like so intense.
Yes, it is made more for I think this is maybe a more modern audience would enjoy this more. I mean, there's a lot of things I was while I was watching it, I was like, if some effects were just redone, I think that it was released recently, I think it would work.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like it's such good filmmaking. Like again, I think the sets go such a long way. Like the sets just look fucking awesome.
And Pump and Frown, it might be like the movie with some of like the best actors of all time. It's crazy. I mean, like between Sigourney Weaver and Charles S. Dutton, you got Pete Postlethwaite.
Yes.
And you got like a bunch of other like British
Charles Dance, like looking
great.
like a fucking snack in this.
You got so many great British actors in this movie. Yeah. It's great.
Charles S. Dutton is a dude I really like. Like I always love seeing him act. I really thought that he was going to have like a huge directing career because he won like a bunch of Emmys for directing. He directed before The Wire came out. There was a series called The Corner that I believe was also.
Is he still with us? He's passed away, hasn't he?
I don't know if Charles S. Dutton
is.
I don't know if he passed away. But it was another David Simon thing. So this was like David Simon before The Wire.
Dutton is still with us. Sorry, thank God.
And he directed it. I thought he was going to have this huge directing career, but it didn't really pan out that way. He's directed some more TV, but a ton of acting credits, always awesome. And he has a great screen presence in this.
I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, we'll get to his big speech later, but like, nobody ever gave me nothing.
Yeah.
When he's saying that, and you're like, this fucking rules.
Yeah.
I say Charles S. Dutton rules, and he's the real cool Dutton. That was one of my first notes. Jeff Dutton, everyone says, you always say Dutton is cool.
He is cool as hell.
Charles S. Dutton, a million times cooler than Dutton that we know.
We asked Dutton to do this episode,
and that was a big part of it was because Charles S. Dutton is in it, and he said no.
He's like, "Sorry, dudes, I'm chasing babes." Oh, fuck, man, it's cool as hell.
I mean, to be fair, I did ask him last night, and I was like, "You mind watching this like 2.5 hour movie and then coming in and talking about it tomorrow for an unknown time?" And he was like, "I don't think I can do that."
Yeah.
But Dutton, big Finchman. I think we haven't heard the last of Dutton for Mank. I think we might see some. I think we might see some more Dutton. Mank. So disowned by the Finchman, and I'm gonna get another controversial thing right out the gate. Newton Hicks dead.
Mm-hmm.
Very controversial. Newt got. I mean, I wrote Newt got decimated, but it's actually Hicks that got. You see like a jaw.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like fucking. That Hicks just got fucking exploded.
Yeah.
He looks fucking, it's just like
a
pile of fucking limbs and carnage.
Well, because like basically where this picks up, it's like kind of like, okay, Aliens kind of resolved. How do we make more of how do we make a sequel to this? And it ends up just like just the kind of happy, what kind of closure of the last movie. We're just gonna erase that,
It doesn't really bother me that they killed. I mean, it's sad in the way of whatever. There are two characters we met in the last movie that you like a lot,
Yeah.
but like what happens at the end of the movie doesn't make me hate that they killed off these two characters.
Sure.
It is, again, it's pretty nihilistic.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me as much. It wasn't like just like killing off Luke Skywalker or whatever.
I will just say, like, the way Sigourney Weaver is so fucking good, and she's fucking fantastic in this. I think that, I'm old enough to remember that a big part of the marketing was like, what, she's got a woman with a shaved head?
I know.
Like, which they did also again with G.I. Jane. It was just like, this is like, can you believe this?
Nick,
But yeah.
Will Smith just walked into the studio.
Okay. No slaps, please.
You remember the slap?
Yeah, I remember the slap.
It's about to be the fap. Smith is going to jack you off. Yes, she's amazing.
She's
Come on,
so good.
What are we
but,
supposed to say about?
But what you were just
Sigourney
talking about is
Weaver?
like the way she plays when it's like when they tell her there's no other survivors, and like she kind of like underplays that, but it's like it's such hurt, but it's also such like I've suffered through so much, I've seen so much like fucking like horrible shit in my miserable existence that this is just another thing that I have to endure. Like she just plays it so fucking well. She's such a movie star.
She is. She rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the controversy. I think probably Nudist would have been hard to have. And then I wrote here when I realized it that I guess Hicks was decimated. But both fun characters in the last movie, and and to start the new movie off that way and the way it ended, and there's an alien egg in the ship. There's some like, how did that happen?
It's a little unceremonious, and it's a little bit, not super explained.
Yeah,
there was a reason why Hicks is decimated. Because I watched a lot of I actually watched 3 hours of bonus features.
Wow.
What was the reason that
movie.
What was the reason that Hicks was decimated?
The actor, I forget his name.
Michael Biehn?
Michael Biehn. Which would not
if
sign off on his likeness for the movie.
Ah.
And in the interviews with him about it, it's very interesting because he's talking about David Fincher. It was like the interviews were like from 2003, after Fight Club had already come out, after Seven had already come out, and he's like, if I knew David Fincher would become David Fincher, I would have been like, yeah, sure, use my image, but they decimated the body to not use his likeness.
That makes a lot of sense.
Wow. Also, it's funny that his name is Mr. Bean, if you think about it.
That is funny. Mr. Bean fighting an alien would be very funny.
Yeah, I think we got another hit on our hands. I mean, come on. Face huggers, xenomorphs, the engineers with Mr. Bean. It's gold.
Imagine the faces he'd make if that thing was trying to hug his face. It'd be very funny.
Like a...
Here's the Finchman's quote on the assembly cut.
Mm-hmm.
This was from a Guardian interview in 2003. The Finchman. I had to work on it for 2 years, got fired off it 3 times, and I had to fight for every single thing. No one hated it more than me. To this day, no one hates it more than me. This is the interviewer. At the risk of opening old wounds, what did you take from that experience that has subsequently helped you in your Hollywood career? The Finchman. It was a baptism by fire. I was very naive. For a number of years, I'd been around the kind of people who finance movies and the kind of people who are there to make deals for movies. But I'd always had this naive idea that everybody wants to make movies as good as they can be, which is stupid. So I learned in this movie that nobody really knows, so therefore no one has to care, so it's always going to be your fault. I had always thought, well, surely you don't want to have the 20th Century Fox logo over a shitty movie. And they were like, well, as long as it opens. So I learned then to just be a belligerent asshole, which was really, you have to get what you need to get out of it. You have to fight for things you believe in, and you have to be smart about how you position it so you don't just become white noise. On that movie, I was the guy who constantly was the voice of, we need to do this better, we need to do this doesn't make sense. And pretty soon it was like in Peanuts. wop, 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 they'd go. I don't know how much he did that voice in the interview.
Probably right on.
He's doing that again. He's frothing at the mouth. He seems so passionate. They didn't care. Interview. Have you grown to like it since then? Alien 3. Da Vinci Man. God, no. But I don't look at anything after it's done. Question. So that alternate cut on the DVD special edition, whatever it is, that's not yours? Da Vinci Man. I don't know who did it. I've never seen it. I can't comment on it. So still has disowned the movie.
Oof.
And has disowned this cut in particular, even though it was supposedly based off of his nuts.
The guy's not wrong in a lot of ways of what he's saying. That is, he points out a lot of things about Hollywood that are, a lot of the times there can be people who are passionate about something and then it doesn't work out for whatever reason. But that is a sad little interview there. I get it. I mean, and there are choices. I mean, just watching the assembly cut, you're like, this is better. There was a way to make this make more sense. And then he probably was like persona non grata at that point and couldn't even make any choices, is my guess.
Probably didn't have the control. And this is like the multiplex era. So they're like a movie that's got, nowadays it's like a movie with a 2-hour, 32-minute runtime. People are like, yeah, that's fine. But back then they were like trying to pack in as many showings on as many screens as possible in a day. So like the idea, like cutting this down to 1:54, I'm sure that was like probably a studio mandate.
By the way, there is an explanation for the egg as well. And it's that when the queen stabs Bishop, the egg is planted in the body. I don't know if you ever heard of that, Casey, but that's one of the explanations for the egg being on the ship.
Now, I heard it was originally a Yoshi egg.
That is also true. And it was gritty. It was like the SNL Mario Kart.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of a gritty take on Yoshi.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more reptilian.
Yeah, he was basically, I mean, they had the Super Mario movies Yoshi from that, like from the John Leguizamo one.
Right. Yeah, they had that same model.
They were like, let's fucking
throw
toss him
Yoshi
in.
in there. Yeah, this is a great crossover. There's a thing that because they talk about all of these, so a lot of this takes place on a prison planet. I mean, it all takes place on a fucking prison planet.
Yes. And what is it, Fury 161
yes,
or something?
And I first of all, I just love the idea of a prison planet. I think that's just like such a cool sci-fi concept.
It's great. I mean, the Finch man, he might not like the movie, but the idea of like, you got all these hallways in this fucking prison planet and for the final act, and just a prison planet itself is such a great idea. And ties into these things like these prisoners who have found God. A lot of them are murderers and rapists and child abductors and like supposed to be terrible people.
Yeah.
Your typical Uyghurs. Oh, sorry, is it Uyghur? HR Uyghurs. And they're like these horrible people, and some of them have found God and some of them are and then the movie kind of does make you care for a lot of these guys. They do a decent job of it. But just a prison planet is a cool spot to do it. And also a prison planet that like no one could care less about. It's like, this is like, we were going to close this place down, but some of the guys wanted to stay.
Yeah, there used to be thousands. Now there's like 25 people who live there. Yeah. There's also a thing that I think is just commented once that these are all ex. I think it might just be in the title up top in a chyron. It's just like these are all XYY prisoners.
Yeah,
they'll have 2 Y chromosomes, which is a real like genetic anomaly. I've heard it called, and I don't know how accurate this is, but I remember it being called like super male syndrome at a certain time because you get 2 Y chromosomes.
Gee, I'm so sure I got that.
But they're also like, like these are like larger, like more aggro people. I think that was the idea. So this is, again, I don't know how problematic what I'm saying is, but I just know that it is a real genetic disorder that they used it as a basis for this.
So we get introduced to this planet. Ripley's ship has her escape ship has crash landed here.
Yes.
You have a decimated Hicks. You got a decimated not a decimated, but a dead Newt. And
that was supposed to be Newt Gingrich originally, right?
Yeah, that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be. Yeah, Yoshi Egg, Newt
and the
Gingrich.
Contract with America, because that was big with Clinton in the White House. They were like, the House Republicans.
And Socks was also going to be in it.
Socks was going to be in it. Yeah.
Socks, I think, was going to be Sigourney's role. Socks was going to be Ripley.
They were like, and then the studio was like, "What are you doing? You can't recast Ripley as a cat who can't talk.
Yeah,
like that's just insane. It's not going to work."
And Fincher flipped out.
Yeah, he lost his mind.
So they save Ripley. She's alive. And then she comes to.
Yeah.
She wants to see the non-survivors. She wants to make sure that they're not infected. And so
Charles Dance is like, you got to shave your pubes.
Charles, he does say you have to shave your pubes. That is a real thing that happens in the movie.
There's like a lice infestation, and everyone there has like they all have shaved heads, which looks really fucking cool. Like all these prisoners with these shaved heads. It's just, and yeah.
For me, I just would be like, bing, give them the one pube that I have. I'd be teary-eyed.
But yeah, they like that's the justification for the shaved head, and they do say like, here's some I'll get you some clippers for your nether regions.
Yeah. And they get it. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's building the world.
Yeah.
And also, Wags, as we get to your favorite moment of the film, which is the Newt's autopsy. So I guess I was just wondering how many times you watched it. How many times was
kind of frame by framed it, just to kind of look at each. Image, like you try to think of like each shot as like a still image.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's good.
Like what, like if I imagine if this was playing with no audio, and this, because that's what film is, just a series of stills.
It's very funny that it is like a hard scene to watch because she's
fucking gnarly.
It's gnarly. It's like a dead child. This is like, what are we 10 minutes into the movie? And maybe not even. And Sigourney is like feeling this dead child's body to see if there's a fucking alien in her. And it's dark. I mean, the movie's dark. It's a dark movie in that way. Like a lot of all hope is lost.
Yeah, and also just like kind of just dark. Like it's a lot of dark like hallways and stuff, and like not a lot of lighting.
Those hallways. We're gonna get to the hallways, but the hallways are good.
Yeah, good hallways.
The hallways are really good. Like I said this before, all the British actors are great, and like it's also like crikey, just hear them say, they don't say crikey ever, but it's an Australian thing. But still, they're like, oh fuck, bloody hell, mate. You hear that a lot. Like,
fucking A is a thing, which I think was like a kind of new thing to say in the early '90s. I just remember hearing that for the first time. Maybe it's just because I was a kid hearing swears, but like I do kind of like that about the.
I'll take your word for it. I have no idea, but I like it.
They're not trying to. It's always tough with sci-fi is just like how much are we going to try to invent, like oh, everyone's saying jarg this, like we're just going to invent some new slang or something like this, and they're just like, fuck it, they just talk like people now, they smoke cigarettes like people now, there's still kind of the same janky like CRT screens and fucking a black black screens with green text, and everything kind of still looks like it was in the the pre-graphical user interface era.
And maybe it will be that way when we do, I don't know, when we have space exploration, maybe it will be simple. Who knows?
I love like lots of buttons and dials and shit. I just love all that. Give me all that you got.
But you're jargon kidding me if you don't think that the it would be fun to have people think that, like, it would be fun to have people believe that we think that's a word. If we just start using jargon, jarg this and jarg that. They don't do that, which is good, but they are very Britishy, and a lot of dumb guys. Like the second in command, 85, who it was Charles. It's Charles Dance, right? That's his name.
I think Charles Dance is the.
He's the guy, the doctor. Sorry, the hunk.
Yeah.
What's his name? Fuck, I forget.
I don't know I don't have the actor's name in front of me. I'll try.
85 is great.
Yeah. I don't think he's credited as 85 is the issue, so I can't remember the character's name.
We meet all these other side characters. There's basically a warden, and then his second in command, which is 85, and the Dreamboat, who is kind of one of the only sane people there.
The actor is Ralph Brown, who plays 85.
Ralph Brown?
Yeah.
All right. He's great. They're all great. Here's the thing that I love about the movie, Wags. They all call the alien a dragon, which is
that's good.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So we start off, and then there's an alien birth scene, which I think this is partly new, right? Wasn't it a dog in the original? Or was it always the ox?
I can't.
Did fuck
Honestly,
this
I
up?
didn't
Casey,
look
do
through.
you know?
I didn't look through the differences between this and the original cut.
You know what sucks is that I
had a
had
hard time remembering
an
what they were.
article up from Screen Rant about the difference between the two. The differences
the
between
ox were cut from the
ox
theatrical.
was cut from.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought the ox was cut. And
The ox is great. I love that.
the ox birth,
Yeah.
the alien birthing itself out of the ox. Wait, is this the difference between Alien? Alien, the difference. I gotta get Alien 3. This is a Screen Rant article about the difference between Alien's director's cut and
Mitch,
the
you're
original.
2 movies behind.
Jesus
Go with
Christ.
the program. I will say that like I like the ox. I like just I like all the slaughterhouse tools with the bloody tools on the wall. There's a fascinating amount of just like how grimy and dingy this world is. Like it's the far future, but this is still just like the
Which is completely believable.
yeah, exactly. This is just like there's still like all these marginalized, exploited, prisoners, but they're being used as a labor force, and I love seeing all of that. And I also like, and apparently this came partly from Sigourney Weaver. She was like, I just don't want this to be like a big gun movie. So there's no there aren't any firearms in this. It's all like blades and shit.
I was gonna get to this at one point. I was watching just on my own. I was watching the commentary for Aliens, and James Cameron brings up things that Sigourney Weaver told him before the movie. She's like, I would love to not have no guns because she's left and doesn't want. She's ahead of her time. Didn't want any guns on screen. She wanted to like make love to an alien, give birth to an alien, die. There was like 3 or 4 things, and Cameron said no to all of them.
Yeah,
but clearly in this movie, and I think the movie, I think it helps the movie. I think it's like that fun thing of like, oh man, all we have is just the one alien here.
I think it makes it it's a more interesting and a more desperate situation because it's like, how are they going to overcome this thing?
I think they try to hammer it home a little too much when they're like talking to the warden, like, you don't have a single gun.
Yes,
He's like, no, we don't. But I still like.
And
that.
he's like, oh wait, I got one gun right here, and then he just takes out his middle finger. He's like, and then they're like, come on, dude,
you're the warden.
You're the warden. Don't that's not cool. He's like, what? What are you have fucking guns here? We don't have guns here. What do you want from me?
He's like, sorry, I'll holster it. And then he holsters it, and he puts his middle finger down.
Yeah. Dude, you're being a fucking jarg right now. He's like, jarg you.
Oh, we should say that they use jarg a lot.
They use jarg a lot in this, yeah.
But
the guy's like, oh man, I gotta go jarg off.
So jarg means jerk?
Yeah.
All right. Or jack. Oh, that's right, because they have like there's like an old copy of The Shining, and they're like, ooh, Jarg Nicholson. They say that.
So yeah, they do the autopsies. They burn the bodies.
Yes.
She's like I want to burn the bodies. I love the scene when they're kind of like there's like this hyper religious it's just like a Christianist sort of sect, but they're like they're kind of like when they're ceremoniously dumping the bodies into the furnace.
Yes, it's great, and that's when we're getting the birth of this alien out of the ox, and then there's a great. Because there's not a ton of moments where I think the alien looks bad. There are like 5 moments where it's CG and it looks kind of bad. Mm-hmm. But the first scamper out when it leaves that ox, I don't know if they redid it for the extended cut, but it looks cool. When it scampers out of the ox, it looks cool. The little alien scampering away from the ox.
It looks good in some shots and not so great in others.
Yeah.
I don't know if they touch up the effects at all.
I can't tell because that ox thing I think was added in, but whatever. So anyways, after that, like I said, we meet the dumb guy. We're getting to know everybody in the place, and then Ripley gets horny. I forgot that Ripley gets horny.
Yes.
And basically asks if our dude wants her.
Yeah.
And then they bang, Wags. They get it on. They farg.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
They jarg.
They jarg. Oh, farging is
farging.
There's a difference between jarging and farging.
By yourself. You farg with a partner. They farg.
They farg. The two of them farg.
I get the sequence. I don't know if I get the sequence here because there is the point where I don't know if this happens after that scene, but there's like also like So a big thing that's happening here is that this is a planet of all men.
Mhm.
They're all like super dangerous criminals. Many of them have like become super religious and taken a vow of chastity, but like they're also just like why is there a woman here? We don't like having a woman around. And there reaches a point where there's like she gets attacked and she's about to be assaulted by a bunch of men.
You are getting ahead of yourself.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
It is, but she basically gets sexually assaulted.
Yeah, and she gets rescued by Charles S. Dutton's character.
Dutton saves the day.
Mhm.
And I always love that he beats them with a crowbar that ends up having brain on it.
Yeah,
there's like a piece of brain. I think he must kill that one dude. It's funny because one of the scumbags that does that kind of becomes a featured prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the guy that has the head wrap around his head, I think. And she kind of saves him during the fire, and there's like a noticeable like look. But I thought it was the guy Morse, the one survivor that we'll get to at the end of this.
Yeah,
I thought it was him, but luckily it's not. It's not him. It's like a friend of his or whatever. Because Morse is pretty cool. We'll get to Morse in a minute. But obviously there's themes there with the alien. There's symmetry there with the assault by these guys and also the assault that she gets from the alien. Don't want to talk about
body
this for
being
too long.
invaded. Yeah, it's tricky territory to discuss, but it is.
But it happens in the movie.
Thematically meant to be synergistic.
And it's a hard scene to watch. So if you I wouldn't watch it if that is something that would bother you. It's hard to watch. But it's a dire. You get it's pretty dire, and then already, actually even before this moment, we get the first death. The guy, he's mopping up inside like a big fan room, and he thinks he sees a dog down in the hole, like their dog that lives on the planet, which is weirdly also cut. I think the dog in the original is maybe a little bit more in it. I don't know, but he thinks he sees the dog down the hole. It's the alien. The alien fucking snipes him in the head, and he falls backwards, rolls into the fan, and fucking explodes.
Yes.
And it's pretty gnarly. I mean, they don't show a ton of it, but it's still cool. It's a cool death.
It's a pretty violent movie. I think so there's basically like his body is just obliterated by these massive fan blades, and the superficial, verdict is like, well, he fell, he like got sucked in or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the doctor character who sees the metal being eaten through, and
he sees the
puts together
burns.
Puts together that something else was involved.
Mm-hmm. Also, is this the only movie where they actually say alien? Maybe they do in the other ones, but
I don't know.
So they have specifically at one point say alien. They also call
they say Jarg.
They do say Jarg and Farg.
Yeah, and Farg.
But they say beast and dragon, referring to alien out, but they also do refer to it as the alien, an alien at one point. So there's this character, Golic, Mike Golic, from Mike and the Mad Dog.
Yeah.
But
played for the Raiders.
So there's more to him in the assembly cut than there is in the original. And this is basically a guy who everyone, like the prisoners, think is crazy. He's kind of like a kooky guy. And he goes into what is the big old yawn from Weiger?
No, it's not because of you. I'm just getting sleepy. I had a coffee. I'm get a little bit more, get a little bit more energy. But
we're almost at the finish line here. I mean, there's so much more to talk about.
There's a lot more movie to talk about.
Fuck. All right, we got to start moving. So what assignment that? Because Golic with two other prisoners is one of the first people that sees the dragon. He specifically calls it the dragon. But the three of them are set on duty to do what? Clean up the mess that was left from that guy?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, they're like lighting candles, right?
Yeah, well, this is a thing. This is an element that I really like is like there's so much just, lighting that even lighting sources that even like predate like modern times. Like they're just using like flares and like torches and shit and candles, which is really cool to see in a sci-fi setting.
Yes.
And there's a lot of that. So yeah, there's a lot of them just like walking around with flares.
So 3 prisoners go out to like clean up whatever. 2 of them get killed by the dragon, which Golic, and they all think Golic did it. Right now,
it also makes him like kind of crazy, like him like witnessing it.
He goes off the deep end. And then also like Sigourney Ripley is like a little bit more like what's going on here. And then she goes and checks. She talks to Bishop. She goes and like unburies Bishop.
Yeah.
and plugs him in.
Just like a torso, half of a head, and an arm.
It's
and
great.
It is really cool, and it's great that he gets brought back. I like this. He has a line that he says that's like, I'd rather be nothing than this.
Yes,
which is so like
he dies.
Grim. Yeah, she just shuts him down.
Bishop dies in the like we see Bishop's death, and he tells her that there was an invasive species basically on their ship. There's something going on. She doesn't know the real deal yet. What's really going on? But then we go back, and Wags, our hunk, our boy. It's sad to see it happen, but it's really sad when they kill our boy.
He gets fucking murked, and it's pretty brutal.
It's pretty brutal, and Golik is there going crazy, and he just gave Sigourney a shot. She's worked up because she knows something's going on here, and he gets picked up in like the plastic shower curtains basically that surround these hospital beds, and his head just gets fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
I always loved that. He gets picked up in the curtain, and then I think it's like he gets hit with the fucking little alien mouth, and just is like, it's a fucking disgusting.
Takes a chunk of his skull away.
Yeah,
I think
he gets farged up.
I think he's like, oh, farg.
Yeah, his last word I think is farg.
Oh, I wish I could jarg off one last time.
Oh, that's his last line. That's right. That's right.
We should mention there's a ticking clock going through all this, which is the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is sending a rescue ship for Ripley.
Yes,
and they're specifically like don't kill the alien, quarantine Ripley, do not kill them, like keep them alive.
So this is kind of like a slow burn. Ripley's kind of figuring out what's going on. Right after our boy gets killed, we get the iconic shot of the alien next to Ripley's head.
Okay,
which I think was used in trailers and stuff too. A huge moment. And I will say, it looks pretty bad just moments before it's next to its head, but because you see some CGI movement of the alien. But when it's next to her head, it looks cool as hell, and I think it's like maybe the enduring image of this movie. Right?
I think that's maybe the iconic like image of the Aliens franchise.
I think you might be right.
Like when people like just are putting Alien in a montage, they'll use that shot. It's so fucking cool. The alien leaning in profile, and like her just like being, like
it's tough because I also think of "Stay away from her, you bitch." I think of that too. That's great.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. Good. I'm out of my fargin' mind here. That's another one. But that's the CGI alien looks bad in some spots, and there it looks bad. But when it's next to her head, I think it's iconic. It looks
awesome.
Cool as hell.
Looks rad.
And also, it's 30 years ago too, which it was insane that it's that long ago. Anyways, also, I was going to say this: does this movie establish that the alien won't kill you if you have one inside of you? Because that's big lore.
Yes.
And I think maybe it does. I'm not sure in Aliens if we...
Yeah, I don't know if it's in the other...
I don't know. I don't think in the same way in this one that it's... I know that people are like impregnated with aliens, but I don't think that they... And we don't know for a fact that Ripley has an alien inside of her yet.
Yeah, but they do once they find that, they do underline that. They do really emphasize that, yeah, she's not going to be killed because she's carrying the new queen.
And then moments after this, there's another great moment when the asshole Andrews, who's the warden, he goes down, and like he's screaming something, or he's like, "I will not take this," and then like he gets pulled up into the ceiling, and blood just fucking pours down.
Yes, yeah.
And his rubber ball is just like bouncing afterwards, and then they show one of the prisoners like kind of nervously cleaning up the spot afterwards. But a guy who you think like, oh, maybe this asshole will stick around for a lot of the movie. He's kind of halfway through. He's out.
High body count in this movie, and they do a good job of surprising you with who gets killed.
Because there's like 30 people in the movie.
Yeah.
And at the end, one of the 30 people, besides the people who come at the end, is alive. You start to also like 85 a little bit here.
Sure.
And again, there's so many great actors in this movie, but he goes with, I think maybe I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead here, Weiger. But he goes with Ripley, and he sees that there's an alien queen in her stomach. Mm-hmm. And you started to feel for him a little bit more. He's got a family. He's just a dummy coward. Mm-hmm. I can relate to dummy cowards. But you start to like him a little bit more. In the extended cut, I found myself liking 85 more, and Morse I thought was a little more of an asshole, but I'll get to that in a little bit. And then they try to they're like, we're gonna kill we're gonna use the toxic waste. We're gonna fucking burn this thing out. And they start using toxic waste to mop the floors with, because they're gonna try to scare it into the place that held the toxic waste.
The idea is to put it in. I think the idea at first is they're trying to get it to a point where they can cover it with lead, right? Because that's
Well, no, that's at the end.
That's at the end. Okay.
So this is the first idea is that they're gonna burn it out and then send it into this holding tank that it can't get through, that holds toxic waste.
Yeah, the toxic waste dump. Yeah.
It's super thick. And so I don't know if that's what you just said too, but they try to they start putting this shit all over the floor that's flammable from this toxic waste sludge. And then while they're doing it, a dude gets fucking decimated, and he's holding a flint, a rod, and the rod falls down, it hits the floor, and everything ignites, and it's a disaster. Everyone's on fire. That guy who tried to fucking assault Ripley, like I said, she helps him out. There's just people getting people are flying all over the place. People are people in hoodies are jumping and flying all over the place. And then the alien comes out, and there's a character, Junior, who's going to help other guys, and he gets cornered, and he's a hero. He runs into the fucking toxic waste area, and the alien,
to lure the alien follows him.
Yeah, he's like, Fargate, man. And he walks in.
And then they close. I will say the scene where they close the door and they lock him in with it, and you just hear him getting killed, and there's everyone just sitting there listening to him, just his extremely painful, excruciating death, while they're all just listening quietly outside.
Yeah,
knowing he's doomed and knowing that they have no way to help him. It's just it's a great scene.
We watched this together, and you said to me, that's how I want to experience you going. Which I thought was kind of fucked up, I guess.
But it's true.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't it look weird when the flint falls? I wrote this. It looks like one of his music videos when that flint is slow motion falling and hits the floor.
What am I watching? Freedom 90 here?
That's what I'm saying. It looks like a Freedom 90
here. It's the Finch Man's music videos.
It looks like Freedom 90 here.
If I was watching Alien³ or Freedom 90.
That's what it looks like for a moment, folks. It looks like his fucking... And anyways...
Did you think it was Freedom 90 or Alien3? Log on to the Discord and make your voice heard.
Yeah, the Discord. Fuck it. We're too tired. I wrote Junior is a hero, which could also apply to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Jr. as well.
Sure, yeah, he's a hero.
Juniors.
Yeah.
In longer cut, like I said, 85 comes off better and Morse comes off worse. I love Morse in the original, the guy who lives. And you try to like these guys. You can tell in the original cut, a lot of the good stuff with these guys got cut. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm sure for some of these big actors, they're like, what the fuck? I spent 5 months doing this movie, and then I got cut down to a nonverbal role or whatever. And I mean, that scene where Junior goes into the thing, that's not in the regular cut, I don't think. Right? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But extended cut is kinder to 85's character, and Morse looks worse. There's also a moment where they all decide to go to the furnace. Do you remember this? It looks very West Side Story. Do you notice that they all kind of jump down to go to the furnace?
Right, yeah.
They're all scared. At this point now, it's well, we should get to what happens. They got the beast trapped up, the dragon's strapped away. You're good to go. Fucking Golic. He asks Morse if he's I'm okay now. Can you let me go?
Yeah.
Morse, the fucking idiot, lets him go. He fucking bashes Morse over the head.
You think Morse is dead?
You think he's dead? Well, he's not dead.
Yeah.
But he goes down to the fucking where the beast is being held, slices a dude's throat, and
that is so gnarly.
It's fucking
when
disgusting.
he says sorry and just fucking flashes his blade and the dude bleeds out.
And he wants the dragon to speak to him. He opens up the door. The alien just fucking kills him.
Yeah, he's lost his mind, but he frees the dragon. He frees the alien, and that's going to take us towards the end game. As this is happening, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation has sped up their mission to retrieve the xenomorph as well as Ripley. They have like repeatedly denied the request to terminate the subject.
Yeah.
And
85 is like saying to Ripley, like, they were our friends. They're gonna they're like, they're gonna save us. And Ripley, of course, immediately doesn't believe that they're gonna help him. Then she's also like, she now goes looking for it because she now knows that she's impregnated with the alien. She's like, I don't think this thing is gonna hurt me. She goes and looks for it. She goes and she sees its head. She bashes it. Turns out it's a pipe. It definitely was an alien head that they show. But then when she bashes it, it's a pipe. And it looks like an alien head. It's filled with bugs.
But that's like meant to show her POV, right?
Yeah, I think it's a POV thing, but it's very much an alien head. And then the alien, it always bothered me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's cool. I don't fucking know.
It's an artistic choice.
It's an artistic choice. It's good.
Fine.
The Finch man's great. And then
we love the Finch man.
We love the Finch man. And then the alien comes down and it won't kill her. It doesn't want to hurt Ripley, so what she thought is true.
Yes.
And we already talked about the ship on the egg on the ship is controversial.
And there's also like she wants Charles S. Dutton's character Dylan. She's like you should like fucking
great.
Kill me.
The kill me moment is great.
Yeah, she wants him to kill her because like the queen won't do, or I'm sorry, the Xenomorph won't do it because she's carrying the queen, and he's basically like, you can help. You know, like you can help us. And
it's unfair of you to not help us.
Exactly.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Charles Dutton, I think, is the MVP of this movie.
He's really good. He's really good.
But they all get together. They talk about what's going on, and everyone's like, "We should wait for
your pilot, right?"
What's that?
They talk
about what's going on. They were like, it could work, but we think Brand X could just be kind of more
Russell Brand, more of a known quantity.
Yeah,
we should maybe go with that.
Also, we think Mitch's politics will be worse in 10 years. Turns out you were wrong. Russell Brand's politics are way worse. He's like a QAnon guy.
I thought he was a leftist, but then I've heard he's gone conspiracy theorist.
He's crazy. Know. He's gone nuts. Yeah. He's like taking pictures with like I feel like he's taking pictures with like maybe RFK or Junior or whoever the fuck.
Yeah, he could be like an anti-vaxxer. Who fucking knows? Who cares?
Who cares? But they do talk about what's going on for a minute, which is interesting, seeing it's 1992.
But it's set in the future.
It is set in the future, so I guess it does make sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And Ripley has a great line. What makes you think they're going to care about a bunch of lifers who found God at the ass end of space? I think that's Ripley who says it. And she kind of is like, we need to kill this thing. And then someone says, they think we're crud. So a crud mention, Wags.
Interesting.
My improv group.
You're all over this movie.
I'm very much all over this movie. And then here's the Charles S. Dutton speech. It's great. They all want to wait for help. Charles S. Dutton says, we're all going to die. The only question is when. This is as good a place as any to take your first steps to This is as good a place as any to take your first steps to heaven. The only question is how you check out. Do you want it on your feet or on your fucking knees?
Yeah.
Begging. I ain't much for begging. Nobody ever gave me nothing. So I say, fuck that thing. Let's fight it. That's fucking cool, man.
That's great.
Did I do good?
Yeah, you did a great job.
And the music is like swelling at this moment.
Yeah.
It fucking rules. It's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I wrote, ooh, baby. It's good. It made me write, ooh, baby. That's how good it is.
It's like you get the line a little wrong because he says, on your farging knees.
Oh,
begging.
I'm sorry.
So I say, farg that thing.
Yeah.
Let's jarg off.
Let's jarg off. Okay. I will say this, too. Right, like, we're getting close to the end of the movie. I'm jumping to the end for a second.
Yeah.
Alien gets covered in lead. Sorry. The alien gets covered in lead, and then its thing comes out of his mouth, and the thing goes, farg, and then it explodes, which I thought was like...
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny.
For a dark movie, though, and then you're like, the alien said farg? And we didn't even know aliens could speak, whatever.
Yeah.
So we get to the plan, which is that, and now Morse is on board. The only one who's not really on board is 85. He still has hope in the system. But we get into the lead works. We're gonna chase this thing into the lead works. cover it in fucking lead. It's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into this maze sequence of the inner workings of the lead works, some wild camera angles, and so there, which I kind of like the alien goes on the ceiling.
Oh yeah, when they get that like the upside down dolly, and it's like, you know, chasing after them, like from the alien's perspective. That looks great.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there are weird angles. Even like earlier in the movie where people are killed, it's like shows the side of the alien and like people's legs in the air. It's like kind of it's I kind of think it's cool. But the maze chase rules, Wags. I think this was like as a kid is what I loved about this movie.
Yes.
I don't know how it ages. I think it's still pretty cool. I think
it looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool, but it is just fun watching all these actors like running down these mazes, running into the alien, some people not doing their job, and like that leading to the alien going into the other places and killing people and stuff like that.
It's also like a tricky spatial thing to track, and so it's like really, you know, just quality filmmaking to be able to have that make, you know, geometric sense while you're watching it. I don't know. I think it's a cool sequence.
It rules. And here's a couple lines that I remember from it. This is like stuff that I remember from childhood. This thing is really pissed off. Remember that line?
Oh yeah.
And then here kitty kitty. Wally and Irma really like that line.
Oh, that's cute.
And then there's door 3, F channel closed. I hope. That's like a great little moment. All these guys running around. The alien does look a little rough in some sequences here, but it still I'm loving it right now. And people start getting knocked off one by one. Peace out to Postlethwaite. Great death.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys who closed the door, and then the alien comes up behind him. The alien shoots his maw through his head and through the door and the glass. In real life, he also died. He died of pancreatic cancer, which my father passed away from. He was a great actor.
Great career.
Great guy.
Kind of a small role for him. I felt like he was bigger than this at this point, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he didn't really blow up stateside until later.
Here's another thing that I remember from when I was a kid is the scene where Morse runs into that guy and they both laugh. And there's like laughter echoing down the halls, and then the alien runs up and kills that guy. It's great.
Yeah.
And that moment always stuck with me. All they have to do is run down the damn corridor. That's Dutton. Dutton then comes in and fights he like comes in, and Sigourney starts like fighting with the alien, and Dutton grabs Sigourney, and then the alien is like, it's threatening the baby, so it follows Dutton out into the hallway. We get it out into the hallway, Wags, and that's where Dutton makes his final sacrifice.
Right.
Where he just fucking fights the alien one-on-one.
Yeah, and then we lead to the
Can you imagine doing that? Like if you were like, I'm just gonna fight it. I'm gonna fucking fight the alien.
I'd have an easier time running into the toxic waste facility, knowing that I was gonna be locked in there. But if I'm gonna turn and fight this thing, it's like,
well, why would you have an easier time? Because you think maybe you could avoid it for like running around in circles in the toxic waste facility?
No, because I feel like at that point it'd be like, okay, I know what I'm gonna sacrifice myself. I'm just gonna fucking die in here. This is it. But like, if I'm gonna turn and fight this thing, I'm like, what am I doing here?
And Dutton does like a good job. He's like fighting it pretty well for a while, it seems.
Yeah.
And because he's like, Sigourney wants to stay down there with it, and he's like, your job's not done yet. You can do that later. And then he holds it down there, and Sigourney tells Morse, like, pull the lead. Morse is up here on this lead.
Right.
He releases the lead. You think it's over. Great music is playing, triumphant music. As the lead pours.
That's the only time where, to me, the score, I do like the scoring, but it starts to feel a little dated.
Sure.
But I do think it's a good score.
I do kind of like the score.
I like it too.
The alien has like a great look up at the lead before it gets doused. Triumphant music.
God, I'd hate to have molten lead dumped on me. That would fucking suck.
Yeah, no shit.
So pissed off.
Yeah, I'd be fucking rip shit. You fucking kidding me? You fucking hot lead? What the fuck?
What the farg? What are we doing here?
What the farg, man? Hot lead? At least keep it cold. Give me that cold lead.
I can deal with some cold lead. That's fine.
Moore says, I hate bugs. And then the jump scare happens. The lead alien pops out. Morse has some quick thinking. He says, Ripley, the sprinklers. Ripley jumps, grabs the chain. It douses the alien. The alien starts hardening up. It starts to harden up. Just like me at this point. And then there's another great music cue, and the alien explodes. Another, like, as the water falls, a great music cue. The alien explodes.
Yeah, this is one of those things I just don't quite understand the physics of it. I guess it is a real thing, like thermal shock is what it's called, but I just don't quite know how it works.
I kind of get that. Like, that comes really easy to me. I get it.
Okay,
actually, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like not an issue for me at all. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that way, everyone calls you Professor Mitch because he had such a big brain for science.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to explain it right now, but like if you think about it, oh no, that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. You want me to? No, I don't. I won't.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, you can tell me later. You can tell me
Right.
offline. Yeah. By the way, thanks for explaining black holes to me earlier. I get it now.
Do you think that I pulled too much from oh fuck, I forgot the name of the movie. What's the movie where it's the bookcase?
It's called the bookcase. That's what you had it right.
Bookcase.
Yeah, the Christopher Nolan film, The Bookcase. McConaughey's so good in The Bookcase.
Look, it's been a long fucking day. We couldn't get Dutton in here. He's free right now. We know he's fucking free. Probably jargon off. Or most likely with Dutton farging.
Yeah, he's farging.
He's probably fucking farging.
Dutton doesn't even need to jarg off. He's farging so much.
He's farging all the time. You're tired. It's been a long ass fucking day.
This is one of those days where we've been together for like 6 hours at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you see that we get mad at each other, it's because of days like this.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a big fight next episode.
But some days also we get a little silly.
Yeah,
it
feels like we're getting a little silly now. The movie gets a little silly here at the end. Because you know what? You see the evil bishop. Evil bishop comes.
I don't love this. This
Okay.
is where things kind of lose me a little
Okay.
bit. I don't love this. I don't. He comes out. He's
Keep
like, you're
bishop
another
pure. Is that what you're saying?
No. He's just kind of like, it's another bishop. Is like, I'm Bishop's creator. I made him in my image.
That makes a lot of sense in the world.
It's a little too, I don't know. To me, it's I get it, but it's also like a little on the nose, kind of biblical. There's that, and then I think there's also yeah. Go on.
You know what I love about it, and it feels like a real thing, is that he's not even like the higher up at Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah,
but he's a guy who he's like, let's send bishop. Like that part of it feels real to me. Where like, she knows the bishop unit. Let's send like the actual bishop guy.
Yeah, sure. I understand
to
that
be
logic.
like a guy who's like, hello, we're not going to hurt you. You're going to come back with. I think that part of it is cool. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a little like, all right, we're seeing the inner, like it feels very on the nose or something. I don't know. Like,
maybe a little bit. I also wouldn't have minded it just being another bishop unit. But I think I get what they were doing.
But he's like, we're gonna save you, and we'll destroy it. And then Ripley basically says, "I don't believe you." Shuts the gate. One of the soldiers there. The soldiers are really weird looking. They have like some really weird soldiers there with them with these fucking wild guns.
Yeah, their wardrobe is like really super eccentric, and they're weird looking dudes.
Weird looking guys. They shoot Morse in the leg.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad here because we lose 85. It's cool that Morse lives. Sad 85 dies, but he finally stands up to the man. He fucking knocks evil bishop in the back of the head. It's fucking gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
His ear is hanging off the side of his head.
Yeah, he looks fucking horrible.
He looks horrible, and he's real. He's a human being.
No, he looks absolutely mangled. He looks like the fucked up droid version of himself.
He does. It's wild. And that's what 85 is. A fucking droid. He calls him a droid. Hits him over the head. They fucking just shoot the shit out of 85. He falls down. He's dead. So Morse is taking Ripley out over this fucking molten lava area where I guess the lead still was, right?
It's the furnace, yeah.
The furnace. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, that makes sense. And the bishop tells the soldiers / troopers not to shoot, and Ripley fucking jumps in. And another iconic moment, and this is the change I don't like, Wags, is that in the original, you see the alien burst out of her and she grabs onto it and falls into the fire. Here, she just falls in, and it doesn't look great either. And I don't know why they.
No, it doesn't look great for like a big, like the big climactic shot of the protagonist.
And I think the original is pretty iconic too. So I don't understand why they changed it for the assembly cut.
Yeah, that's an interesting change. I don't know about that.
I don't get it because that's an iconic fall and they changed it. I don't like that change. We see I love the prison planet getting locked up. We see it get locked up and Morse getting let out. And then we hear the Ripley sign off from the first movie, The Last Survivor of the Nostromo. Is that how you say it? Nostromo?
I think so.
And then and that's it, Wags. We're out. We're out of the movie. I'd read some stuff on Xenopedia afterwards.
Cool.
Like the origin of Jarg and Farg, stuff like that. That's on Xenopedia.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
But at one point, 85 was the guy who fought the alien in the lead instead of Dylan, which is kind of
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Dylan died earlier in the movie. But anyways, that's the end of the movie. My final thoughts are Alien 3 rules.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I think it's an awesome movie. I think it's a great dark sci-fi film. I think it's a really good entry in the franchise. And I don't know. I think I understand that he's disowned it, but I think it's a great debut for Fincher in terms of the Finchman, in terms of like he took on an existing franchise and kind of put his own spin on it.
I think we have to figure out a rating system for the Finchman, for Maynk. Like how we're gonna rank these movies.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I'm gonna just say my final thoughts here. I think Alien 3 rules. It's more thoughtful and interesting than like most movies made nowadays. Like,
sure.
Like just watching that movie, I'm like, there's a lot of great stuff here. It's deep. You get emotionally attached to a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
It has faults. I'm not saying it doesn't have faults, but
we all have faults.
We all have faults. Mm-hmm. Every man jargs off. If he makes it to that age, he jargs off.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that it's underrated, and I think that it's a great entry into the Alien franchise. In hindsight, I get some disappointment at the time, and I think that Fincher shouldn't be that ashamed of it. I get that his treatment was awful, and I get him not wanting to ever think about it or talk about it ever again. But I think that there's a Fincher touch to it that's undeniable, and I think that he did a good job despite everything.
Yeah, I think it's just the film. It's not the film he wanted to make, and so that's probably his core frustration. But I do think
Again, he wanted Yoshi.
He wanted Yoshi in there. He wanted Newt
Socks.
Gingrich. Yeah, he wanted Socks the cat, and the studio just overruled him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's a really cool movie with some great imagery, and again, the production design is awesome. I love the palette of this movie. I love the creature design. I don't love some of the CG, but I do think the creature actually looks really cool in certain spots. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of like just a fucking bleak. This is a bleak future that's capitalism taken to its natural conclusion.
And Wags, I gotta say this too. A cool alien that we've never seen. It's a weird ox alien or whatever the fuck it is. I agree. Great comments on capitalism. A very sad end to what you thought was the Alien trilogy. Mm-hmm. It was Alien cubed, basically.
That's right. They put a little 3 there.
But how are we ranking this?
Great question. There's a lot of you could rank it out of 7, because 7 is a big movie. You could rank it out of Brad Pitt abs from Fight Club. You could rank it out of Benjamin Button buttons.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. What else we got?
Affleck Hogs.
Affleck Hogs is pretty good. It's hard to beat Affleck Hogs because we're not going to cover Gone Girl. We already covered Gone Girl previously on the show.
I think
it's got to be Affleck Hogs.
I think it's going to be Affleck Hogs. Okay.
I give this one...
out of how many Affleck Hogs? 10 for every inch?
Yeah, 10 Affleck Hogs.
So 10 for every flaccid inch of Affleck Hogs.
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is an 8-incher. I can give this 8 out of 10 Affleck Hogs.
So it's a little cold for Affleck if it's 8 inches. 8 inches flaccid. So
he just did a polar bear swim.
So he did.
Yeah.
He did a polar plunge.
Yeah.
To go down to 8 inches flaccid. Wise, I think that's a B. I think B. I think it is a B. It's funny because you know what? I'm like, I think there's Fincher movies that I don't like as much as Alien 3. I don't think it's the worst of his movies. And I don't even think the worst of his movies are really bad, to be clear, but because I kind of always find them interesting. Wags, I'm going to go 8 too. We're handling buddies. I think it's because I think I would say 4 out of 5. The Mitch scale. The
Casey,
Mitch Hard scale.
Casey is a fan of this film and this director, or just someone who's very familiar with this film. You got a score for this?
Yeah, honestly, I think 8 inches is a great score, but I got to go 7 just because I think there's so much more potential.
That's
for
fair.
Fincher. Like,
yeah.
His other movies that I think are better than this are so good.
You do walk away from it wishing you saw like a full Fincher Alien movie.
Yeah.
Which would be great. And you don't, and you're kind of robbed of that.
I'll say the special features, like the behind the scenes of this movie, are very fascinating. They talk to everyone but Fincher because he doesn't want to talk about this movie, but there's a lot of great footage of him on set directing. And
does he seem mad?
He is mad. There's a great moment where he like grabs the boom, and is like looking directly into the camera and is like, "You would think that 20th Century Fox wants to put out a good movie, but everything that's happening here,
that's
fucking crazy.
Care. It's really good."
Does he get along with Sigourney, or was there? I know that some of the actors
got along really
that's
well.
good.
Yeah.
Some of the actors I think bumped heads with Sigourney in this movie. But
it sounded like all the actors really love working with him. A lot of the crew likes working with him. It was all like
studio.
The studio got
that's
in
a
the
bummer.
way.
So 7 inches. So it's fucking. What is fucking like Ben Affleck's on fucking Pluto or some shit? Well, what's cold enough to fucking put him down to 7 inches?
I think Casey is persuaded. I think I'm going to go down a half inch. I'm going to say 7.5.
Okay.
I think it's 7. I think this is a 7.5. I think some room to grow for the rest of his filmography is good.
What planet is a little closer? I mean, you call me the professor, but I won't get into that. There's
Neptune's closer?
Yeah.
Sure.
There's I think there's a few planets that are closer. I think that's a fair score.
Yeah.
I really like Alien. This watch maybe kind of, I loved it as a kid, and then I kind of turned on it again as I got older. And watching it again, I had an appreciation for it. I think the assembly cut is the way to watch it. I think you should watch the assembly cut. But I'm sad that they're in that, the final Ripley alien shot. That is the only change I don't like. But I think that if this is closer to what Fincher's vision was. But sad that we'd never see the real Fincher vision.
Yeah.
Fincher vision. Imagine that.
I'm kind of going to sense we're going to be having Fincher vision all month long.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be a part of it in the Doughboys Discord.
That's right.
Join the Discord and log in with your favorite film, and we'll make sure to evaluate it.
If I had Fincher vision, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm looking at my hog, I'm hopefully getting that fucking Affleck treatment. Wags, a good start to Maynk.
A great start to Maynk. We don't know what we're going to be talking about next week yet, but we will be talking in a couple weeks where we're talking about your pick. For the third episode will be the Discord decision.
I mean, not a good start in the episode was good. It was bad.
No, it was a bad episode.
But we started.
But I'm glad we started this, and we're going to keep this going. And we'll talk. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but whatever it is, it's going to be a fascinating film because we love the Finch Man.
We love the Finch Man.
Bye.
Bye.
Doughboys Media.